Hello and welcome everybody to our webinar about visualizing business process diagrams with yFiles. My name is Christian Brunnemeyer and I'm a software developer at yWorks, the company behind yFiles. Today I'll start with a short introduction to yFiles, as well as an introduction to the BPMN specification. And after that we get to the main part where we'll show you how you can visualize your business process diagram in yFiles. I'll give you some further information and links. And finally, we'll have a Q&A session where you can all ask all your questions that may arise and see what else you want to know. So first about yWorks. yWorks was founded in 2000 in Tübingen, which is in south of Germany, and has currently more than 25 employees. And it's mainly known for its diagram solutions and libraries, which is used by hundreds of corporations all around the world from all kinds of businesses. The main product of yWorks are the yFiles diagram SDKs, which are available for different platforms like HTML, Java, WPF, or also for .NET. In addition to the yFiles SDKs themselves, we provide some tools as well, tools that use yFiles and are based on yFiles, as those that extend it. For example, our wildlife and graffiti diagram editors that are free to use. With yFiles, you can build all kinds of different applications for all the different use cases. yFiles itself is a quite flexible SDK, and the different use cases can be built on top of it, and the library is extendable, so you can use one of the many source code examples we have that show the different use cases, for example, the org chart, fraud detection, or network monitoring, or also the BPMN editor. Those are all built as source code demos on top of the core library. So now let's go to the BPMN part. What's business process diagrams for? Well, the main goal is to get a good understanding of the business procedures and to communicate them in a standard manner. So that's what the BPMN specification was created for. It's a standard modeling and graphical notation. So you can build easy to understand diagrams, and you can also exchange those diagrams as well between different participants, but also between different applications. That's a simple example of how such a business process diagram may look like. And I'll give you a short overview over the different elements that are used in such a diagram. First of all, the tasks, those are the main parts of a process. For example, sending some specific lists to several participants. Those tasks are connected by flow edges. Those are depicted as connections with arrowheads. And those flows may be merged or split. That's what the gateways are for. And at a gateway, you can have some decision which decides which path to follow. And those gateways are depicted as rotated squares. Furthermore, you can have several kinds of events involved in your process. Those are all visualized as circles. And you have mainly three different types of events. The start event are those that trigger actually the process flow. and those use thin single borders. Then you have the end elements where the process flow stops. They have a thicker single border, like here to the right, and all kind of events that occur intermediate during the process use such a double thin border, as you can see here. You can also have different kinds of events, like in this example, you have, for example, a message event for the start event or a timer event for an intermediate event. The different colors you can see here are not specified in the BPMN specification, but are mainly used to get a nicer view and to have a better distinction between the different types of elements. In addition to these flow elements, you can also have further information attached, and you can use all different kinds of artifact nodes, like this issue list over here. And those are connected with association edges, which use dotted lines, in contrast to the normal filled lines you use for the normal flow. In this example, the flow and the involved tasks are visualized, but it's not clearly visible who is responsible for the different tasks or who is involved in the process at all. Though there are further elements that can be used, which are pools and lanes. Pools are these tables, and in those pools, each participant can be visualized as one lane. So you have the business department and the human resources in this example, and you can just place the different tasks in the correct lane, so you know exactly who's responsible for which task and how the process flows from one participant to another. It's also possible to have several different business processes that are somehow interconnected. And for this, you can have several pools, each having its own process flow, and those may communicate with each other using message flows, which is also another kind of flow for BPMN. And those use also a dotted line, but have an empty circle at the start and empty arrowhead at the end. So now let's move on how you can visualize your business process diagram with yFiles. First of all, the BPMN support in yFiles is built as quite feature-rich source code demos on top of the API, and it's available for all major platforms like yFiles for HTML, WPF, .NET, and Java. And the source code is not only included in the distribution bundles, but can also be accessed with our GitHub repositories, which are linked here. So you can have a good look at how the BPMN is implemented here and what can be customized. So to give you a good view on the different features, I'll give you a short example in our live application demo. So what you can see here is the BPMN editor implemented with yFiles for HTML, which can be accessed on our live server. And as you see, we have all different kinds of visualizations for the different BPMN elements included here. In the editor demo, we also have different kinds of example process flows, example diagrams that can be used. Also some little more complex ones. And what you also can see here, what I didn't speak of yet, is one important thing for such a diagram is also a good layout. So a good position for the different elements and the flows between them. And that's also one key feature of the yFiles SDKs, that you can have quite powerful layout algorithms. And in this case, for the BPMN use case, there is a custom layout algorithm that is built on top the hierarchic layout that's included in yFiles. And this BPMN layout is also available as part of the source code demo. So having this demo, you can have a look also at how you can easily put your data into yFiles. And the easiest way to visualize your data is if you have already your business process data in form of the BPMN file. So for example, this diagram here was loaded from a BPMA file. And for those of you who didn't have contact with BPMN files so far, those are specified also by the BPMN specification. It's an XML-based exchange format that can be exported from all kinds of applications. It's quite commonly used to exchange business process data. And yFiles supports reading those BPMN files. And they may contain up to 2 parts. And the first part, the main process of the diagram is included. So that's a process structure and model information. You see, we have the process element itself, which can have tasks and events, and they may have incoming or outcoming edges. It contains all that you need to actually create the business process. But what's not included yet is information about the layout and the visualization. And that's where the BPMN diagram part, the DI information, comes into play. It's optional, though not all applications export the diagram part as well. But if it's included, it already contains the shapes, the bounds, and locations of the waypoints of the edges. So the layout calculation is already included in the diagram information in the BPMN files. If you have just a BPMN file containing the pure process information, you can use the yFiles layout functionality to apply a good layout. So it's not necessary to already have a layouted diagram information. You can do all that with yFiles itself. And of course, if you don't have access to the BPMN files itself, you can also create your diagrams either programmatically or also interactively with yFiles. So you can bring all your data into the yFiles BPMN. And it doesn't matter in what form you have them available. Okay, now I'll give you some further information and links where you can get even more details. First, I want to mention the features page from yFiles, which contains not only those features that are used in the BPMN support, but also further features for grouping and folding information, the different layout algorithms that are provided, also the different input features and gestures. All that is available here on the features page. For the licensing and pricing, there's also a pricing page on our webpage. And if you want to know more about the business process diagramming with yFiles, we have also got one blog post about it. And furthermore, we also have business process diagrams integrated with Graffiti. which is our Confluence plugin. So with it, you can visualize your business processes in your Confluence application and use it to share it with all your company. And it's available on the Graffiti page using the BPMN DI HTML site. Well, that's what I wanted to say about the BPMN support. Thank you for your attention. We now have a Q&A session where you can ask your questions. And while you can do this, I'll finish our first poll and want to start a second one, which gives you some further questions about where to go with the BPMN part. And so thanks for attending here, and we'll see what questions have arisen. Okay, the first question is, are there other diagramming types like choreographies supported? Actually, yes, there are. I'll just check whether they are. There's one included here. Now maybe in our wildlife. It's our free graph editor. Has some more examples. Let's see whether we have a sample graph here. No, it's not in the open samples. I think I've got one in my list. Yeah, here. Okay. So yeah, first of all, what's a choreography? We haven't spoken of that yet. It's another kind of diagram that uses a little bit different styles, special styles for the participants of a choreography, and it concentrates more on the interaction between different participants. And as you can see, we have those special styles included as well. And you can visualize those diagrams as well. So the second question, thanks for the informative presentation. Thank you. Do you provide the links you have presented? Yes, you will receive a follow-up mail with the recorded webinar, and it will also include the further information links I presented before. Then BPMN provides several types of tasks, those supported by yFiles. Yes, let's just have a look here, for example. For such tasks, you can have different types that are depicted by some symbol in it. And there are also some other states that can apply to a task, like substate and loops. And for all those, there are icons included already and can easily be added to the visualization. So is there a way to persist these events and processes? So we've spoken already about importing BPMN files, but this question is about persisting and saving those. And usually the persistence is usually handled already on the model side of things. So if you have your BPMN application, it usually stores already your BPMN process, and you would mainly use the yFiles to visualize it. So it's normally outside the scope of the visualization. But of course, yFiles also allows you to iterate over your model and serialize information in any kind of format you want. It could be text-based in your database or whatever you like. And there's one more question about typically events and tasks trigger other events and work products. So they need to be integrated with other enterprise systems. How do you see this happening? Well, that depends mainly on which application and which platform your other applications are in. You can access all different kinds of communication methods from the platform. So you have full control, and you can react. Either you can react to the events, or use some model-driven events in the view and connect and trigger all the events in the third-party services. Okay, so currently I see no more questions. So I think we can go to the end. I want to thank you again for attending, and I hope you have enjoyed the webinar. And I wish you a nice day and happy diagramming. And if you have other business process use cases that are not already covered by yFiles, or you feel you would have better support for it, just contact us. We are always interested in having more use cases from our customers and support those. So have a nice day.